Intellectual property risk, which is the risk of not protecting the intellectual property, thus allowing outsiders to copy, perform, or distribute its original works without permission. Patent-related risk generally includes any type of uncertain circumstances or events that, if they occur, would damage the value of the patent. Innovation risk, which is the inherent uncertainty of bringing any new product or service to the market. Environmental patent risk, which is the ever-present reality that the third parties, for example like governments or competitors, etc., might change the patent system or the relevant technical industry. Intrinsic patent risk, which is the risks that are associated with the patent itself and intrinsic to the patent process. So let's figure out some detailed risks related to this one. But first, let's understand about a patent. A patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention. Patent validity risk, which is a risk that a patent can be invalidated through prior art, which can be used to show that the invention was known, for example like lacks novelty, or easily derivable from the state of the art. So prior art is any evidence that your invention was already publicly known or available, in whole or in part, before the effective filing date of your patent application. Patent enforceability risk, which is a risk arise that a weakness during patent prosecution lead to the patent being unenforceable. Patent scope risk, which is, in a nutshell, scope risk asks whether a court could interpret your claims about patent too narrowly or too broadly. In other words, when you go to enforce your patent, will it cover the technology that you intended to cover when you drafted the patent application? Patent design around risk is the risk arises when it is easy for a competitor to find a way to produce a similar product without infringing your patent, which could easily happen if your claims are too narrow. Trade secret risk. First, let's define a trade secret. A trade secret is defined as any information that is not generally known to the relevant business circles or to the public. The information should also not be readily accessible, confers some sort of economic benefits on its owner. These benefits must derive specifically from the facts that is not generally known, and not just from the value of the information itself. It must have commercial value because it is a secret. Commercial value encompasses potential as well as actual value. So trade secret risk arises when someone steals or misappropriates that trade secret and gain economic benefits from that misconduct. Soft intellectual property risk. Soft intellectual property is sometimes used to refer to trademarks, copyright, and domain names, in contrast to hard intellectual property, which is sometimes used to refer to patent. Soft intellectual property risks arise when a number of companies have selected names for their products or service, or domain names which were not identical but were very similar to existing brands. Open source software related risks. Open source software is computer software with its source code made available with a license in which the copyright holders provide the rights to study, change, and distribute the software to anyone and for any purpose. Source code is the part of software that most computer users do not ever see. It is the code computer programmers can manipulate to change how a piece of software, a program, or application works. A number of open source software related risks can arise when companies embrace open source software, such as with copyright and patent related matters, for example, like copyright infringement. Corporate governance risk, which is the risk of the organization is failing to comply with the rules, practices, and framework processes by which it's directed and controlled. Authority risk. An ineffective line of authority may provide opportunity for disgruntled employees to act beyond their powers and abuse such power to defraud the organization. For example, like discretionary powers, signing authority, or system approval matrix, etc., etc. Information technology risk, which is the potential that a given threat will exploit vulnerabilities of an asset or group of assets and thereby cause increased regulatory scrutiny, reputational damage, or harm to the organization. It is measured in terms of a combination of the probability of occurrence of an event and its consequence. Physical threat risk, which is the risk resulting from physical access or damage to IT resources such as the servers. These could include theft or damage from fire or flood, or unauthorized access to confidential data by an employee or outsider. Electronic threat risk, which is the risk arise from aiming to compromise your business information. For example, like a hacker could get access to your website, your IT system could become infected by a computer virus, or you could fall victim to a fraudulent email or website. These are commonly of a criminal nature. Technical failures risk, which is the risk arise from components such as software bugs, a computer crash, or the complete failure of computer component. A technical failure can be catastrophic if, for example, you cannot retrieve data on a failed hard drive and no backup copy is available. Infrastructure failures risk, which is the risk arise from incidents such as the loss of your internet connection. Core system outages can interrupt your business. For example, like you could miss an important purchase order. Human error risk, which is a major threat, arise when someone might accidentally delete important data or fail to follow security procedures properly. Business continuity risk is the risk of unavailability of basic necessities, including sufficient data or information, which threaten the continuity of the organization's critical operations, resulting in the loss of minimum processing capability. For example, like hardware or software failure, telecommunication breakdown, utility outages, or disruption, etc., etc. System resiliency risk, which is the risk arising from systems lacking fortified or redundancy features in order to withstand any component failures which are crucial for quick recovery and for keeping system degradation at a minimum level. The examples are redundancy and fault tolerance for facilities, electrical power, air conditioning, fire suppression, network link, interface systems, back-end host systems, storage system, network equipment, etc., etc. Incident management risk, which is the risk arising from inability to react and resolve system outage or system breach in a timely manner, resulting in prolonged service interruption or further breaches.